All right. How are we going, guys? Let's get into it for today. So, leading into New York Open, I'm looking at these relatively equal lows here on... What's happened to my screen here? There we go, that's better. I'm looking at these relatively equal lows here on the 15-minute chart, 30-minute chart. There's hourly SIBI, which we've reached into once already, and the buy side resting above that. I've also noted that large opening range gap from yesterday's trading as well, so we're still yet to reach the midpoint of the opening range gap, so further movement down towards the sell side would be ideal, but we've got plenty of room to play with down there. After that pump we had in Asia session leading into Wednesday's trading. Now I think it's going to be tough to predict where we're going to go for this New York AM session, since we've been chopping around for a good part of 16 hours. So yeah, we'll see. We're still primed for some good volatility, but it's whether we see a large amount of manipulation or not as well. So I know we just swept this minor buy side level here. We have a fair bit of SMT between NQ and ES as well, both above and below the market. So we're definitely not primed for some big directional moves, I don't think, but we'll see if we can scalp something nonetheless. And yeah, look at this regular trading hours gap that we've put in. So this rectangle here is the regular trading hours gap for today. And typically you will notice that when you have such a small RTH gap like this, only 20 points, price isn't really super aggressive and ready to move. So that could be a clear indication that this morning might not be ideal on the trading front, but we'll see. We're just gonna have to watch and be a bit reactionary to price this morning, I think, instead of trying to predict where the next move is going to be. So this fair value gap here on the 1 minute chart is something that I've been using so far for this run up. Could potentially be part of a Judas swing kind of move. Have an inversion fair value gap here now. These lows here relatively equal as well. We could see a trade opportunity just from this inversion fair value gap down to these lows within this 1 minute fair value gap. What have we got on a lower time frame here? Damn, if we had one more run up, any sort of green candle put in there, I probably would have taken a short down to that as the target. So ideally, if I was going to target here, I would be waiting for us to come back up into this inversion fair value gap, which would be at the midpoint of this small range, if you're that way inclined. I'm going to give it a couple more minutes to chop around. So, sort of hovering around this initial small range that we've made. It doesn't look like we're sort of ready to go short yet. And since that's kind of what I'm looking for, I'm probably not going to fade that idea just yet. So still be patient here. Still be patient. We close above this bearish candle, I might enter with 1 micro type stop loss and target this initial wick that we made, the high of that wick at 9:30. Just because I feel like a lot of people are sort of bearish from the open here. And then especially because we had this 1 wick up and then big displacement candles the downside, people are probably trying to chase it a little bit. What would be a 2 to 1 if this is going to be my stop? 2 to 1's about there. Do that. Let's move my stop to break even there. Nice. I probably should, I mean, volatility isn't that huge this morning considering how it has been the last few days, so it probably would have been better for me to actually just go in with 2 contracts there. And that way I could have at least held a runner. But that's always a bad thing about just having one contract. You can't really hold on to those big spooling trades. But that's, you know, a 2-to-1 nonetheless, so we'll take that. Even though it is only one micro, so it's sort of pennies at this price movement. But that's when, if you're just trading a couple micros and you're able to hold a runner pretty aggressively, you know, that can turn into a lot of money pretty quickly. And especially because you're not risking a whole lot when you're trading micros, so you do have the freedom to sort of hold on to runners and not care about if it turns around and either stops you out or stops you at break even after your first partial. So what that trade was. Oh wow, I actually caught the low of that candle that dropped back in. That's a pretty nice tag we had at the low here as well. Tagging midnight open to the tick. Rejecting from that. This is an inversion fair value gap, which, you know, a lot of traders are going to see off the rip that we've run up, swept minor buy side, displacement lower. We've had a change in the state of delivery. That would be the perfect inversion fair value gap for them to then go short. And like I said, when I first saw that, immediately I could have taken a scalp from that inversion fair value gap down towards this fair value gap and the lows resting in it. But the fact that we reached already almost to that level, I'm not going to wait for price to come up and then try and enter another short. This is going to be the perfect area for then most people to enter. They'll put their stops above here and you can just fade that initial idea. we look on the 5-minute. So we're still just trading at the low of this 1 hour fair value gap. The daily, I might take the quadrants of this daily wick. So upper quadrant there, 50%. So we've got the upper quadrant of the daily wick overlapping with the high of yesterday, of the opening range gap from yesterday, or 2 days ago. Can't remember when it was. And now it seems like we're probably ready to go lower from this displacement. Alright, we're just going to be patient again from here. So you could probably call this the first presented fair value gap, but it's also not. It's not that much displacement as a fair value gap, really. Interesting to see if we're going to show some speed and run down towards these relatively equal lows now, punching through this bullish fair value gap. I guess we technically have somewhat of a breaker block here. High, low, high, lower, low, higher, high, and then come back below. So we have a breaker in the macro window, 950 to 1010. Could be something to use. Could very well be something to use. Tell you what, if you're scalping a support level right now, you've been making your money so far this morning. Now it's also a bit tough. We do have NQ and ES, which are very, very different at the moment. ES is barely moved compared to NQ. Barely moved lower, I should say. And I can't really tell which of the indices are stronger. Pretty good reaction from the midpoint of this breaker here. Body's respecting it. There's at least an opportunity for a scalp there if you wanted to put your stop loss above the high of the breaker. And then just target this fair value gap again. An opportunity for a 1-to-1 trade at least. I feel like we could honestly see another little push higher here, the way we're just flirting with the idea of shorts, but nothing convincing is happening. It would either be we see another retracement back into the middle of this range that we've just created, back into the middle around here, or if we are going to push shorter, it's going to be pretty aggressive. The way we're moving, that's sort of the only two things I could see at the moment. But NQ and ES are fighting each other. ES is sort of trying to push higher. NQ's trying to stay lower. Not a good recipe for trading at the moment. So there we are, getting to the midpoint of this range that we've just put in here. Like I said, I still do prefer shorts in this situation here, but I think a lot of people do with the framework that we're building. And a lot of pattern traders are going to see this and keep attempting to go short. If you're making an implied dealing range here, from this high down to these equal lows, anything above this level is in a premium to this range. So if your ultimate target is to reach these equal lows, entering a trade anywhere in here is ideal. You don't want to be entering a trade targeting that low if you're below this 50% level here. Let's see, if we're thinking timing wise, we're getting towards the end of the first hour on the RTH chart, right? Regular trading hours here. Now, I like to also consider macros that are on electronic trading hours and regular trading hours. So since New York's session opens at 9:30, and usually you take a macro within the last 10 minutes of each hour to the first 10 minutes of each hour. If you consider that on a regular trading hours perspective, that would be 10:20 to 10:40, right? So the middle of the 10 to 11 hour. That could be something to indicate when price is going to fall in the direction of its ultimate target if it hasn't done so already. See the bodies here respecting Thursday's first presented fair value gap, or today's first presented fair value gap. I kind of want to enter in a buy. Enter a long and have a tight stop loss. And we'll see. Very, very tight stop loss here. 10 points. We'll see if we can get just back above here. Another little scalp. Yeah, I probably should have held to at least this first 1 minute swing high. 3-bar high, sorry, not a swing high. Would have been a nice 26 points again. Something small, but they add up. They add up, that's for sure. Just doing a quick scan on the YouTubes. A lot of other streamers, trading streamers, are short at the moment, so it's definitely going to be interesting to see if their shorts play out or not. I think they will. Like, I definitely like shorts, but I don't think I could sit in this right now. You know, unless I was to enter. Like, if I was to enter in this first presented fair value gap, I'd ideally only want to put my stop, you know, back above here and TP at the equal lows, which is only a 1.5 risk reward ratio. So, you know, you are risking a lot trying to enter from here in the middle of that range. And I feel like it's just going to toy with you for a while until it actually happens. It's slowly looking a bit more convincing though, the short. We are building those bigger down candles. And it was overlapping with this 5-minute fair value gap as well. And a breaker. So a few different ICT PD arrays which could have come in clutch there. ES is finally starting to fall now as well. ES has a lot more room to the downside to use. We're trading this 0.75 level here is the upper quadrant of the 600 point opening range gap or whatever we had the other day. So keeping a note of that as well. Actually, another thing here which I did mark out, which I didn't realize. So we had a few things overlapping here. We had this 1 minute first presented fair value gap. We had this 5 minute bearish fair value gap. And we had the low of a daily wick as well, all overlapping in this one area, which is why we've clearly been using that a lot before moving lower. So if you had entered off of that, you'd be up around 50 points or something so far. Not too bad. So we have this minor sell side level here. Leave that open. We also have this 5 AM low over here. Sort of the end of the London session kill zone. So we've just tapped that there. On regular trading hours, that's not a pool of liquidity, but we do have this on the regular trading hours. Regular trading hours equal lows, so I might keep them noted as well. Which I think, does that correlate with... Yeah, it sort of overlaps with this low that we put in London as well, so that might be a key low. If we're not to run immediately for the key sell side level here, at least reaching majority of that way, the low hanging fruit, that could be your objective here. So I am interested to see what we do now. We're in the last 10 minutes of this first hour of the New York session. Because if you're thinking of the power of three, especially from an hourly candle perspective, the power of 3 hourly candle is different from electronic trading hours to regular trading hours. So we're about to finish our first hour. And if this range here is currently our first hour, we formed a high, we formed a low. We're going to end this hour by retracing back into the range in these last 10 minutes. And then from there into the next hour, so after 10:30, are we going to sweep this low and then run higher? Or are we going to run higher immediately? Maybe come back down to the low, that's what you got to frame. So this, what low have we just taken? So ES hasn't even taken this low over here from 8:30. And we did have news at 8:30 as well, I believe. So ES is still yet to take that. Alright, I'm probably not going to hang around for too much longer again. I reckon I'll hang around until, I don't know, we'll see. If we start taking lows, more lows around here, we'll probably sit around for a bit longer. It's nice to see that we're actually using all the key levels that I've marked out so far. It's been slow in moving, but it's actually been using these levels quite well. Inversion fair value gap overlapping with this bearish fair value gap here. That could have been a trade. Down towards here, could have been 50 points. Or 60 odd as well. You're being quite slow. Volatility just ain't really pumping at the moment. $10:30, so we're just trading into the second hour of regular trading hours now. Quite slow, quite slow. So we did take this low now as well, did we? Almost, we're creating more equal lows here. With that 5 AM low. What do people do when they're waiting for charts to move while you're trading? I'm curious. Is this going to be the move now? I wonder. Interesting. Big bullish candle here. Right near these equal lows. Could either be quickly starting to do a little run back up to levels like this, stopping out people who have trailed their stops now, or it could just be one final reaccumulation before wiping out these sell side levels here. Interesting. Honestly, don't mind the idea of a little long here again. Ryan, how you going, bro? Good to see you here, good to see you here. Thanks for stopping by again. It's probably just about to get off soon. At the moment, we're sort of just hovering around these equal lows over here. And I feel like a lot of people are trying to target these at the moment. So the idea of just scalping little longs fading this bearish bias is sort of the only thing I'm looking for at the moment, especially because we're in such a deep discount in this range that we've put in so far. Not worth trying to chase a short at the moment. Is there a way to collab on YouTube? I'm actually not sure if YouTube has that feature. It might, but it's definitely not something I've done before, so I wouldn't really know. If we don't today, then definitely like next time I start up a stream, I'll let you know like well in advance, like a few days before, and we'll see if we can set something up. Yeah. So I know like Twitch and stuff has that feature, but I've got no idea with YouTube. Yeah, dude. Next week we can literally do like most nights during the week. Well, night for me, morning for you. I'm down. I think, what news do we have next week as well? Let me take a look. So next week, the only red folded news we have is on Tuesday, and it's PPI. But there'll be plenty of shenanigans going on, so I think we'll get pretty volatile conditions either way. Both of these trades that I took so far today were literally just fading the bearish bias. Even though my bias from session open was definitely bearish, I didn't really have an entry that I liked. I'm probably going to stay on for like another 10 more minutes and then I might jump off. Yeah, it would have been a nice long here, actually. If you had used something like this as your order block. Stop low here. A lot of people are still holding to these relatively equal lows, so fading them once again. We got 30 points from here to this high over here. So people not only would have trailed their stops to this level here, but then also up here, where we're inside a 5-minute SIBI. I think we can definitely see price run back up to here. I could take another long quickly. Just don't know where I'd want to really enter from. I think if we'd had one more run back down to this little fair value gap here, would have been a place where I would have entered. Alright, let's wait a little bit longer here. And we kind of have this as well. Somewhat of an order block here. So watch price, see what it does there. But a very nice gap you could have got nonetheless. If you trade from this order block down here. Or even this is your highest inversion fair value gap that you could have reached into as well. Two bearish fair value gaps. Closed above them both. You could have entered on the high of that. Stop below 15 point. Easy 1-to-1. Easy 2-to-1. Definitely looks like that's where we're reaching for at the moment, this high up here. About 20 points away right now. Yeah, if I was to target that, I like to only trade in a discount for a bullish trade or a premium for a bearish trade. So if I was to enter here, it would have to be below this level at least. It's just a good way of keeping yourself out of trying to chase price. All right, well, thanks for anyone who stopped by. I think I'm going to head off now. The only thing I'd be looking at leading into lunch now is us running these two stops here. That's where most people are probably trading their stops. I wouldn't expect us to immediately run up here, but it definitely could do, considering we've baited out these relatively equal lows so far. A lot of people are still in their position, especially if you entered somewhere up here. And, you know, the way we're moving so far, just slowly grinding up, we could either continue doing that, or this could just be a stage of another reaccumulation before we dump towards this sell side. Kind of hard to pick, which is sort of why you have to be a bit reactionary in this current market. There you go, there's that run on stop there. Pity I didn't get a trade, but that's right, we had two nice scalps for the morning anyway, which is good enough. So cheers guys, I'll see you in the next stream.